The sound of her voice, soft and cruel, slid through the dark like a blade. If I could do it over, I wouldn't have married him. I was 2 feet away, lying still on my side of the bed, eyes shut, breathing slow, pretending to be asleep while my wife poured her secrets into her phone at 1:17 a.m. She thought I was out cold. She always assumed I slept like a rock after my migraine meds kicked in. Truth is, I stopped taking them 3 weeks ago, ever since the whispers started. Not from her. From my gut. My gut had been screaming for weeks. That night, though, that whisper, it wasn't a scream. It was a confirmation. I stayed still, listening. Not because I'm brave, because I'm the kind of man who clings to every last thread, even while it strangles him. I don't know. I thought there'd be more. It's not like he's a bad person. He's just not what I wanted long term. Not what she wanted long term. We'd filed our taxes together 12 days ago. She picked the furniture in our living room. She decorated our hallway with Polaroids from our fake smile honeymoon in Oregon. She called me babe just 5 hours before that whisper. But now, suddenly, I was a temporary mistake she couldn't return. I wanted to get up. I wanted to flip the lamp on, sit her down, and ask her who the hell she thought she was. But instead, I stared at the wall and memorized the cracks in the paint. I'm not brave. I'm not the confrontational type. I don't throw scenes or yell. I write apology notes even when I don't know what I did wrong. I've Googled how to be more exciting in secret. You know what else I did? I made her coffee every morning for the last 6 years. I warmed her side of the car in the winter. I ironed her conference blouses while she slept in. And apparently, none of that made me long-term. I waited until her breathing shifted and the light of her phone dimmed. Then I got up. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Quietly. Cowardly, even. I grabbed a duffel bag from the hallway closet, the one she never uses. I packed 2 pairs of jeans, 3 shirts, and my passport. Why my passport? I don't know. Something about it felt symbolic. I left my ring on the kitchen table next to the half-eaten peach she didn't finish that morning. No note. No text. Just that metal band and the knowledge that she'd wake up to an empty space where I should have been, and maybe she wouldn't even flinch. The thing is, I wasn't angry. Not yet. I was numb. But that numbness? It wouldn't last long. I didn't go far that night. Just a dingy motel 10 miles outside of town that smelled like mildew and air freshener trying to cover it. I sat there on a lumpy mattress, staring at the wall like it had answers. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just kept thinking. She said it so casually. Like she was talking about ordering the wrong coffee. Like erasing our marriage was some mild inconvenience she could correct next time. My phone stayed quiet. She didn't notice I was gone until morning. And even then, no panic, no missed calls, no where are you? Just one text at 8:03 a.m. Did you leave early for work? I stared at it for a full 10 minutes before responding. Yeah, early call. Coward. That's what I am. Even after hearing her whisper she regretted marrying me, I still responded like nothing happened, like I hadn't already packed a bag and vanished in the night. But I wasn't ready to confront her. Not yet. I needed more. I needed proof that I wasn't just imagining things. So I did something I'm not proud of. I stayed away, but I started watching. That night, I parked across from our apartment in a rental car she wouldn't recognize. Lights were on. Shadows moved inside. At exactly 6:44 p.m., a man showed up. Tall, confident, dressed like he just got off work from an ad agency or something equally smug. She opened the door wearing that sundress, the one she hadn't worn in 2 summers. The one she said felt too young now. Funny how it was suddenly perfect for him. They didn't kiss. Not that I saw. But the way she looked at him, I hadn't seen her look at me like that since year 1. She tilted her head when he talked, touched his arm as he laughed. I sat there in the dark, chewing a crushed granola bar from my glove box like it was dinner, watching my wife play hostess to someone I'd never met but already hated. They stayed inside for almost 3 hours. Then he left. No goodbyes at the door, no lingering hug. Just a clean exit. But I noticed something as he walked past the window. He left his jacket behind. And Addison didn't run after him to return it. I drove off, stomach in knots, head spinning. Was he just a friend? A coworker? Or was he the person she confided in at 1:17 a.m.? I didn't sleep much. And the next morning, I did something even lower. I went back into the apartment while she was at work. I still had my key. She never bothered to change the locks. Not yet. I didn't touch anything. I just walked into the bedroom and stared at our bed, trying to imagine if he'd been in it. Then I saw it. Her planner. She never used digital calendars. She liked writing things down. I opened it. On Friday, 2 days from now, in neat cursive. Dinner, V at 7. And beneath that, lightly scribbled in pencil. Hotel. Hotel. Question mark. She was either thinking about it or already doing it. I sat down on the edge of the bed and let that word burn into my brain. It wasn't confirmation, not yet, but it was the first crack in the dam, and I was done patching things up. She regretted marrying me? She had no idea what regret even meant, but she was about to learn. Friday came faster than I was ready for. I must have read and reread that one word in her planner, hotel, 100 times. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw it etched in red across my brain like some kind of silent warning. I didn't eat. I barely slept. I didn't go back to work. I told them I had a family emergency and turned off my work phone. The only thing I cared about now was finding out the truth. Not just for the satisfaction. Though yeah, I'll admit, I wanted to catch her in the act. But because I needed to know if the last 6 years of my life had been one big performance, and I was the only one who thought it was real. I booked a room at the same hotel that was scribbled in her planner. I didn't know if that's where they'd go. She never wrote the name, just hotel, but I picked the one closest to our apartment with private parking and enough privacy to host the kind of night I feared she was planning. I checked in early, sat on the bed with the curtains drawn, and watched the parking lot like a nervous wreck with a telescope for a heart. I didn't even know what I was looking for. Him? Her? Both of them together? At 6:58 p.m., a dark gray sedan pulled in. I knew that car. I'd seen it 2 nights ago when he left her place. He stepped out, jacket in hand, the one he forgot, and glanced around like he was checking to see if anyone was watching. I slid down from the window like a coward, heart hammering against my ribs. I didn't know whether to cry or laugh. It was actually happening. 2 minutes later, she pulled in. My wife, Addison, wearing the same sundress. Her hair curled, makeup perfect, nails freshly done. She parked 3 spots away from him, got out, and walked to the lobby like this was normal. Like it was a casual dinner date and not the betrayal of a lifetime. They didn't arrive together. Of course not. Gotta keep up appearances, right? I waited 15 minutes, then made my move. I didn't burst in. I wasn't trying to go viral as the unhinged husband who crashes a hotel room with a camera phone and a meltdown. I just wanted to know what room they were in. I went to the front desk and played dumb, said I was meeting my wife and forgot the room number. The clerk smiled and asked for her name. When I gave it, she hesitated, then pointed to the elevator. Room 312, she said. She just checked in with someone. Just like that. I took the stairs. I needed the extra time to figure out if I was really going through with this. I felt sick, dizzy, but I climbed all 3 floors like I was walking into a burning building, and I guess I was. I reached the hallway and walked slowly to the door. I didn't knock. I just stood there, listening. Laughter. 2 voices. Clinking glasses. Then silence. Then music. Some low, jazzy thing she liked to play during dinner parties. I backed away. I couldn't do it. I couldn't confront her. Not yet. I was still the same idiot who made her tea when she had a bad day. Still the man who apologized for things I didn't even do. I didn't have the strength to see her with him. But I had something better. I had time. So I walked back to the front desk, calm as a corpse, and said I'd forgotten something upstairs but didn't want to interrupt her night. The clerk smiled again, and that's when I asked the question that changed everything. Hey, do you have security cameras in the hallways? I dropped my wallet last time I was here. Just wondering if you'd be able to see if someone picked it up. She hesitated. We do, she said slowly. Why? I smiled. Just asking. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't need to. Because the moment I left the hotel, I knew what I was going to do. I wasn't just going to catch her. I was going to make sure she watched herself fall apart. One piece at a time. The next morning, I woke up with a sick kind of clarity. No more pacing. No more crying in the car or staring at empty walls like a ghost. I knew exactly what I was going to do. And for once, it wasn't begging or confronting or pleading for answers she'd never give honestly anyway. It was time she felt what I had felt. Quietly. Slowly. Like a rope tightening around the version of herself she tried to keep hidden. I started by changing passwords. Joint bank account, locked. Our cloud photo storage, mine now. I downloaded every memory we ever uploaded. Birthdays, beach trips, anniversaries, that dumb cooking class where we wore matching aprons. I stored all of it on a private drive, then removed her access completely. She didn't notice, not yet. I didn't expect her to. Her head was elsewhere, after all. I still hadn't spoken to her. She didn't even know I was gone for real. I mean, sure, I'd sent a few busy at work texts to keep up appearances, but I hadn't looked her in the eye in 3 days. I think, deep down, she liked that. Guiltless freedom. No explanations required. But she was about to find out what it felt like when someone slipped out from under you without a sound. 2 nights after the hotel, I messaged the front desk from a burner email account. Told them I was conducting a private background check for a corporate client and needed confirmation of occupancy for room 312 on that date. I didn't expect a reply, but 30 minutes later, I had it. Yes, a Miss Addison Palmer checked in with a male guest on Friday evening. Registered under joint occupancy. Paid in cash. Paid in cash. Of course she did. But she made one mistake. She used her real name. I forwarded the confirmation to myself and sat back, staring at the screen like I was watching a slow-motion explosion. There it was. Proof. Black and white. No more maybes. The next step was the message. I didn't send it to her. I sent it to him. I didn't even know his name. But Addison had a bad habit of tagging her friend group in group photos on socials. And one face kept popping up over the last 6 months. A guy named Tate. Clean cut, gym selfie type. One of those guys with perfectly groomed stubble and captions like rise, grind, repeat. I created a new account, made it look like a spam bot. No real name. Just a burner with no profile picture. Then I sent him the hotel confirmation, followed by a single line. She said you were special. You're not the only one. He read it within 3 minutes. Didn't reply. Didn't block me. But I knew exactly what that silence meant. The next morning, Addison texted me at 7:22 a.m. Hey, random, but did you use the savings account? There's a lock on it. Followed by, also, when are you coming home tonight? I stared at the messages and felt absolutely nothing. She was slipping, and I hadn't even touched the worst part yet. Because what she didn't know was that I'd taken more than the photos. I'd taken her backup phone, the one she kept in her desk drawer for work stuff. I'd always respected her privacy. Never touched it. Never snooped. But that was before she chose lies over loyalty. And what I found on that phone, let's just say, it wasn't just Tate. It wasn't just one night. I didn't even mean to take the backup phone. It was reflex, really. I'd gone into her office to grab some papers, something to keep my hands busy before I did something stupid, and there it was, half buried under a stack of unopened mail. Her work phone. I stared at it like it was ticking. She never used it in front of me. Always claimed it was for project management software and remote meetings. She never locked it either. Maybe because she thought I'd never look. She was right, until now. When I turned it on, my heart actually pounded like I was breaking into a vault. But it opened. No passcode. Just the screen lighting up with a wallpaper of a mountain view I'd never seen before. The battery was low, like it had been off for days. Or weeks. But the minute it connected to Wi-Fi, messages started flooding in. Different names. Different tones. Different apps. One stood out first. A thread labeled T Crescent Moon on Signal. Her messages were pink. His were blue. I scrolled. Scrolled again. And kept scrolling. It went back nearly 11 months. Almost a year. Dozens of late-night messages. Inside jokes I didn't understand. Voice notes. And then, the part that made my stomach twist. Photos. Of her. Of him. Together. Restaurants. Hotel rooms. One at a concert. Addison wearing my flannel shirt. My shirt. But it wasn't just him. There was another thread. Then another. Then one labeled Airplane Departure / Vegas. I counted 4 different men. Each with different patterns, different styles of conversation. One of them sent her money. Another sent playlists. One called her M. Not A, not Addison. Just M. Like it was some private code between them. I sat there reading it all in silence, blinking through tears I refused to let fall. It wasn't the cheating that gutted me. It was how practiced she was. How easy it seemed for her to juggle them. Like this was just routine. She had whole parallel lives. Secret plans. A version of herself I'd never met. I thought I'd married someone slightly distant, maybe restless. But what I'd actually married was a woman who wore a new personality like makeup, depending on who she was entertaining that day. For a while, I just sat on the floor, phone still glowing in my hands, surrounded by papers and unanswered questions. I didn't know who to be. The enraged man ready to expose her? Or the pathetic fool too scared to admit he'd been sleeping beside a stranger? Then something shifted in me. I started screen recording everything. Every message, every picture, every saved voice memo. I cataloged it all and saved it under a new folder on my laptop. Reality. That was my insurance now. Because for the first time, I realized something. She wasn't just cheating on me. She was using me as a foundation while she experimented with lives that didn't include me. And that meant she'd get careless. She already had. And I was going to exploit that carelessness. She still didn't know I was watching, listening, gathering. So I started responding to her again. Lighthearted. Boring, even. Sorry, super swamped. Just need a few more days out here. Don't wait up. She replied in seconds. Miss you. I'll cook tonight. Maybe we can talk? Talk. Sure. About which man she was going to have dessert with after I left. But I didn't answer. I had something else to do. I printed 3 screenshots. Just 3. Carefully chosen. Nothing explicit. Just enough to spark questions. A chat with Tate. A payment from the guy in Denver. And one of her texts where she said, I just can't keep pretending with him. I feel numb when I'm home. Then I mailed them. Not to her. To her parents. I didn't check the tracking number obsessively. I knew exactly when the envelope would arrive at her parents' house because I timed it. I paid extra for overnight delivery, made sure it would land in their mailbox while she was scheduled to be out at her book club or whatever fantasy hour she was playing that week. I pictured her mom opening that thick cream envelope in their sunlit kitchen, smiling at first because it looked like a card, maybe something sweet from her perfect daughter. Then the silence, the wait, the shift in air. 3 screenshots, neatly printed and paper-clipped, no note, no return address. Just images that said more than a letter ever could. I didn't need to explain anything. Her words were already there, speaking for me. Her betrayal, in her handwriting, on her device, through her voice. I imagined her father holding the photos with shaking hands. He always liked me. Always said I was the kind of man a daughter could build a life with. Now he'd know what she'd done with that life. I didn't hear from anyone for 2 days. Nothing from her. No weird text. No call. No shift in tone. I started to think maybe I'd overestimated the impact. Maybe they hadn't opened it. Maybe they thought it was a prank. I began doubting myself, wondering if it had even been worth it. Then, day 3. At 6:51 p.m., my phone rang. Her name on the screen. I didn't answer. I wanted to. My fingers hovered, heart racing. But I waited. Let it go to voicemail. 10 seconds later, another call. Then a text. Call me now. Then, I don't know what you think you're doing, but you've crossed a line. Oh, so they had opened it. Another message followed. You need to come home. We need to talk. Immediately. Still, I said nothing. That same evening, I checked the shared location setting she forgot we enabled when we went hiking last fall. Her dot was at her parents' house. Stayed there for 2 hours. Then she drove to the apartment. Then, for the first time in 4 days, she opened the Find My app, probably wondering if I was even still in the state. I saw her ping my last known location. Too bad I'd already turned my device off. It must have hit her then. I wasn't just angry. I was gone. The next morning, I logged into the joint account. She tried to move money for transfers to a new savings account under her name. All denied. I'd already removed her permissions. She couldn't touch a cent. Not without me. At 10:04 a.m., I got a long message. It was desperate and strangely rehearsed at the same time. I'm sorry for everything, she wrote. I know I've been distant. I know you're hurting. Can we please sit down, like adults, and talk this through? We don't have to throw it all away over mistakes. Mistakes. Plural. She finally admitted it. Still, I didn't respond. I was already 3 steps ahead. Because while she was writing those apologies, I was sitting across from a lawyer. I'd already filed. Quietly. No drama. No announcements. Just a clean, ice-cold filing with every piece of digital evidence cataloged in a tidy folder. I made sure she wouldn't see it coming. The only thing I left unfinished was the letter I planned to deliver myself. Personally, directly, in the most dramatic but controlled way I could manage. Because I wasn't done yet. Not until she looked me in the eye and realized. This wasn't about revenge. It was about showing her exactly what regret feels like. I showed up at our apartment 2 days later, unannounced, just after noon. I knew she'd be home. Her car was parked sideways, like she'd skidded into the spot in a panic. The curtains were open, and through the front window, I could see her pacing. Hair a mess. No makeup. A hoodie that didn't match the person she tried so hard to be in public. For the first time in weeks, I felt in control. It was quiet power. And it made my legs shake as I walked up those stairs, not out of fear, but because I knew this was the part of the story where everything cracked. She opened the door before I could knock. "Everett," she started and stopped, like she wasn't expecting my face to look so calm. I stepped past her without saying a word, walked straight to the kitchen, and dropped a manila envelope onto the counter. She didn't ask what was inside. She already knew. "Why?" I finally said. Just one word. Flat. Honest. Not angry, not sad. Just exhausted. She blinked, then folded her arms. "You blindsided me. You sent that garbage to my parents? You had no right." "I had every right." I cut her off. "You don't get to cheat on your husband with 4 different people and still play victim when it finally costs you something." She flinched, just slightly. Then she shifted into the version of her I'd grown to despise, the polished, manipulative one who always turned blame into a boomerang. "You were checked out for years, Everett. You lived in spreadsheets and errands. You made it easy to look elsewhere." That part hurt. Not because it was true, but because it was practiced. She'd told herself that story so many times, she probably believed it. Like her betrayal was a natural reaction to my mediocrity. "I was boring," I said, nodding. "Safe. Steady. You told your sister you regretted marrying me. I heard it. I was right there." Her mouth opened, then shut. I smiled. "It wasn't kind. You whispered it like it was a joke." I stood there, toothbrush in hand, realizing my whole life had turned into background noise. She sat down, suddenly quiet, like someone who'd finally run out of angles. "I didn't mean it," she said. "I was venting." "You don't just throw away a marriage over venting." "No," I said. "You throw it away when you choose to lie, over and over. When you fill the bed I warmed for you with secrets. When you build backup lives instead of fixing the one we made." The room was heavy, silent. Then I pulled out the final envelope. Smaller, neater. I slid it across the table. "What's that?" she asked, eyes narrowing. "Final draft of the divorce petition. Signed by me. Uncontested. All digital assets documented. Bank accounts separated. The only thing I left in your name was the couch you lied to me from." She stared at it like it was poison. "You're not even going to fight for this?" I actually laughed. Bitter, broken, and tired. "You fought against this the moment you said I do. You just thought I'd be too spineless to notice." Then I turned, walked out, and didn't look back. Behind me, she didn't call out my name. She didn't beg. But 10 minutes later, as I sat in the car down the street, my phone lit up. One message. "Please don't do this. I don't know who I am without you." I stared at the screen for a long time. And for once, I felt nothing. I didn't reply to her message. I didn't need to. The man she remembered, the one who always folded, who apologized first, who tried to fix what wasn't his fault, that man had finally left the building. She just didn't recognize the silence. She thought silence meant hesitation. But this time, it meant the opposite. It meant freedom. I stayed with my brother for a few weeks after that. He didn't ask many questions, just handed me a spare key and said, "Stay as long as you need." I think he knew. Not the details, but the feeling. That bone-deep exhaustion of having given everything to someone who saw you as a placeholder instead of a partner. I didn't check her social media. I didn't stalk her messages. I went quiet. Truly quiet. And in that silence, something strange happened. I started remembering myself. Not the husband version of me. Not the background character she had turned me into. But the actual me. The one who used to write music. The one who ran in the mornings and didn't feel like a ghost in his own body. I picked up my guitar again after almost 4 years. The strings were dusty. My fingers were stiff. But the second I strummed a chord that sounded like something real, I cried like I hadn't since the day I overheard her whisper she regretted marrying me. Not because of her. Because I realized I hadn't just lost a wife. I'd lost myself trying to keep her. It was around week 4 when I met someone. No, not like that. Not romantically. Just a woman who sat next to me in a coffee shop while I was journaling. She complimented my handwriting, said it looked like song lyrics. Turns out, she was a freelance editor who worked with indie musicians. We talked for 3 hours. Not about heartbreak. Not about betrayal. Just about ideas, books, weird dreams, stupid movies. And for the first time, I didn't feel like I had to explain who I was. I just was. Addison tried reaching out again. 2 more emails. One long, one short. Both read like someone slowly realizing the cost of their actions. I archived them. No reply. My lawyer finalized everything. Clean. Simple. The furniture, the apartment, the wedding photos, all of it stayed with her. I didn't want souvenirs from a performance. I moved to a small rental house on the edge of town. Nothing fancy, but it has windows that catch the morning light and a backyard that smells like pine. I bought new sheets. Started cooking again. Not for anyone else, for me. The first dinner I made, I plated it like it was art, just for the hell of it. One evening, I pulled out my old songbook and scribbled something that felt right. A line I hadn't thought of consciously. It just spilled out. She whispered regret while I laid beside her. Now I sleep in peace where no lies follow. It's not brilliant, but it's mine. And now, so is everything else in my life. I don't hate her. I don't wish her pain. I just don't wish her anything at all anymore. Because the best revenge is finally remembering who you are and never going back to the person who made you forget.